Well, took yesterday off. I was exhausted. Had a really long, again, day out in the sun, right? But some interesting things happened. I'm kind of glad I waited to comment on it. I got one name for you. Bill Clinton. Why am I just saying Bill Clinton? Because Prince Andrew's involved, and obviously Maxwell and Epstein. It's all related around that. And God knows who else will come out attached. Well, because if you look on Twitter, 250,000 plus and rising. That was the last time I checked. I mean, that was earlier this morning, so it's probably even more now. People talking about Bill Clinton and basically the fact that victim testimonies popped out and Bill Clinton's implemented. But you wouldn't know that because if you look at what's trending, like Alan Dershowitz is trending, which he's involved. It's looking more and more like he's guilty because his name's mentioned as being at the island and whatnot. That's unfortunate, but hey, you can't run from your past forever, pal. So if you made this kind of fuck up, then guess what? You're gonna get dragged. And I think the most it's one of the most disturbing things about it is that Dershowitz's career is done. He's not going to get... despite him being pretty on point for the Russia probe stuff, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have any friends. Basically, he alienated the left because he came out against the Russia probe, which was good analysis by him. And now he's alienated the right because he basically lied about being on the Epstein Island and tied, and he's more connected than he was. And he was advocating for Epstein's innocence. He's not that stupid. We know he's not that stupid. So he's lying. And he's lying to cover his own ass, it seems like. So whether he was covering for Epstein for some unknown reason or he was so incredibly stupid as to think nothing of impropriety was going on, he's done. He's done. That guy's career's done. I'm sure he'll write the occasional op-ed, but he's wealthy, so he's done. I don't know if he'll be arrested and charged. I suspect probably not, because there's way more interesting people involved. So Dershowitz, a couple thousand tweets about him. Oh, he's on top of trending. Clinton, 250,000 plus and rising, nowhere near trending. Even the left is running cover for him. Let me scroll through what I was looking at here. Krasenstein wife. Do you remember the Krasenstein brothers? They're like this weird like homoerotic incestual reply guy relationship, and they just replied to Trump and always just said like horrid stuff. And then the left would clap. Basically, they talk through the wife now because they got banned from Twitter. I forget what it is. They broke some sort of rule. Which means it was pretty bad. If somebody on the left got axed, it was pretty bad. Also, I think they were embarrassing themselves, and they were embarrassing the left because their responses were predictable, and they got popular. So I think that's pretty much what... I think they cut their losses, and they banned them. But they're trying to say, there's allegations Trump raping a 13-year-old girl in Epstein's mansion, and that seems plausible, so that's probably actually what's happening. And they're willing to throw Clinton under the bus if it means getting to Trump. Trump's not connected. In fact, the document release, they directly and explicitly asked about Donald Trump. And they're trying to say, okay, witness, when did Donald Trump flirt with you? He didn't. That's what's inaccurate. So Jeffrey told me that Donald Trump is a good friend of his, but he never observed them together. No, not that I can actually remember. I mean, not off the top of my head. No. When did Donald Trump flirt with you? He didn't. That's what's inaccurate. Did you ever see Donald Trump at Jeffrey Epstein's home? No, I don't remember that. Not that I can remember. Sorry, I flipped the words on me. On his island? No, not that I can remember. In New Mexico? No, not that I can remember. In New York? No, not that I can remember. Trump's not connected. Trump had a very it's just like anybody paying attention knows that Trump had a falling out with Epstein. It was over 15 years ago at this point. Basically, Epstein sexually assaulted a staffer, a young staffer, at his Mar-a-Lago. And Epstein just thought, okay, I'll do that. They're probably trying to recruit her. He got handsy. And this staffer basically went to the manager, like, what the fuck is this guy doing? So, charges can't... It's tough with charges, but Trump just said, I don't want your money, get the fuck out. He banned him from... Not only did he ban him from Mar-a-Lago, he banned him from all of Trump's properties. And that's kind of ballsy, because Epstein is very well connected and has a lot of money. And Trump basically just said, no, it's not even worth being acquainted with this guy. I'm not going to let him use my services. I'm not going to let him go to my hotels. He's banned, flat out banned. That was over 15 years ago. And if you see interviews and stuff, Trump hints, he's like, Epstein, great guy. He likes him young. That's what he says. And if you in the world of New York billionaires who invest in Florida, which is Epstein, Trump, lots of other people around the New York elite, around the Clintons and whatnot, adjacent, because you didn't do business in New York State and make money without basically greasing the Clintons. And Trump has said as much, basically. Like, he basically paid politicians to leave him alone. That's why all his donations and stuff, because he was in New York, were to Democrats before he basically decided to join the Republican Party and run for president, because he was sick of it. And he's completely honest about, essentially, that it's a payoff. It's corruption. And he participated in it because he wanted to get ahead. I mean, he said that. He said that when he ran. I don't know why people are, like, just surprised now. Like, I mean, he knew who Epstein was. Yeah, well, because, there's only so many billionaires, and if you're a New York billionaire, you're going to be in that same circle. But Trump axed it with Epstein. Did the Clintons axe their contact with Epstein? Nope. Any of these other people connected? Dershowitz? Nope. No, especially not. I mean, he was already a creep, but like in 2008 when the charges came down, the first trafficking grooming charge, basically when it became like, hey, law enforcement's looking at you, you're not going to just be able to slide anymore. And of course, that went nowhere under the Obama administration, and then there was deals cut and all kinds of bullshit, and he wasn't going to face justice until the Trump administration arrested him. But basically, like, where was I going with this? Point is, Trump is not connected. They want to connect Trump because their only hope of having this not be a complete spiraling, crashing crater into the heart of the Democratic establishment is if they take down Bill Clinton, they want to take down Trump with him. That's what they want. That's what they're going to claim. They're going to ignore the history of it. They're going to ignore the fact that Trump has been basically speaking out against this in years, but not in ways where he could get sued for libel. They're not going to mention the fact that it's his Justice Department are the ones who basically followed the human trafficking breadcrumbs and essentially got him arrested. They're not going to mention the fact that it's his Justice Department that are the ones who are actually getting this information and dropping these documents. The left's going to pretend these documents incriminate Donald Trump, despite them not incriminating. They're actually quite doing the opposite. It's not unlike the Mueller investigation, where basically the Mueller investigation turned up nothing. If anything, it just showed FBI impropriety. But if you ask the average person, what did the average lefty who's got TDS, what did the Mueller investigation say? So, well, it proved Trump colluded. It didn't. But they act like, was it when a pigeon plays chess? They don't actually win the game, but they basically shit all over the board and then walk around with their, cocking their head, acting like they won. That's pretty much the left's media strategy in terms of if something doesn't go their way, they just pretend it did. If they lose an election, they pretend they didn't lose an election. They just, and they just They just force it. They force it where the average person says, basically, I don't know what I'm looking at here. Because I got one side saying Donald Trump's implicated. I got the other side saying he's not. And there's got to be something to it, right? They wouldn't just be completely lying, right? Well, the documents are here. And I think more and more people, especially the voting public, is going to start reading the actual sources. So thank God for the internet. Because if this weren't the age of the internet, these documents I'm looking at, I wouldn't be able to look at these clips from this stuff because I'd have to wait for a paper to publish them. And we all know how the papers run. And we all know that they're basically, the moral arbiters of what information they want the little people to see. Internet doesn't work that way. I mean, not that websites don't, not that's Twitter. As I said, Twitter's suppressing it. I'm sure on Facebook, if you post any of these documents, they're probably going to, put a little fact check from Snopes or something underneath. Despite the fact it's a raw source right here, They'll fact check your analysis. And that's what I find infuriating. Somebody can be completely wrong in their analysis. They can be absolutely stupid. But it's still analysis. You can't fact check analysis. You can just say that's shitty analysis. But they'll do that. They'll any time you mention hydroxychloroquine, right? Same thing. Boom. In fact, I don't even know if the Google bot will even let me post this video because I said that word. I probably can because I think Tim Pool's been talking about it and he hasn't gotten axed. But that's the kind of thing they're trying to do. They're trying to monopolize essentially the flow of information so that you get the narrative, so you understand the way they want you to understand them because you're not smart enough to figure this out on your own. That's what they think. So we'll see. I mean, do I think Clinton's going to be arrested? No, I don't, because the FBI is covering up for him, and even if this basically all these documents implicate him, and they say this is all witness testimony, this is what Maxwell says, this is what the documents say. We have a chain of evidence being destroyed. Essentially, we have proof that this was not pursued. It doesn't matter because the original source stuff is going to be gone. And 1,000 people will fall on their sword to protect the Clintons before it ever gets to them. I mean, they should look at the Clinton Foundation. What the hell they were doing down in Haiti? Where did that money go? I remember. I don't know if you remember when Haiti happened. Everybody kind of came together on that, and like George W. and even Clinton, who don't exactly like each other, but they did come out and they basically were like, "Hey, look, let's do," because it was very similar to when Carter and Herbert Walker came out during Katrina, and they're like, "Hey, we need to rebuild, New Orleans. Here's how to donate. Here's the charity we're pushing." And George W. and Bill Clinton came out, and then basically it was the Clinton Foundation was going to run essentially a cleanup in Haiti, like they would funnel it. Well, all that was bullcrap, and they basically robbed Haiti, and they sold off parts of, essentially, it was mining rights and some other stuff. It's insane. If you look into the Haiti thing, that's a whole other scandal of ridiculous magnitude. But there was the human trafficking element tied in. And that would actually explain why during the Obama administration, essentially nothing went anywhere with this human trafficking stuff. And with particularly with the Epstein stuff, because if it was routed through the Clinton Foundation, right? Because remember, Hillary Clinton is well connected to the Obama White House, your Secretary of State. If there was basically trafficking being done adjacent through the Clinton Foundation, whether it was money moving or whether it was people, or if it was just facilitation, they weren't going to, as the Obama administration, investigate the Clinton Foundation. So all that had to be was essentially a link in the chain, and that would stop any investigation, which would explain why the human trafficking stuff didn't get blown wide open while it was at its peak. Now it's being blown wide open. Now the amount of human traffickers being arrested and jailed and tried and whatnot, just being killed by basically spec ops going in and rescuing people, that's massively increased. But well, the Clinton Foundation, their money's kind of, I don't say it's dried up. I mean, they still have God knows how much in reserve, but they're kind of realized, like, yeah, people are onto them. like Clinton name in Haiti is complete mud. They're not gonna, it's like, because that's the thing. You're Haitian, you don't know jack shit, and you say, oh, a foundation run by the current Secretary of State of the United States and the former President of the United States, who, I don't know much about him, but he seemed personable enough. They're coming to help us, so of course we can trust them. Like, they're not gonna screw with us, right? They did. They did some pretty evil stuff, and it's tough. You can't call somebody that powerful out. Bad. Whatever. I'm going on. I'm diving into other things, but I just wanted to make a video just so that there's more content out there talking about this Clinton situation. I suspect it's going to be suppressed. I suspect this video will probably get 2 views, but I just want to go on record saying, hey, I'm one of these people here who are actually paying attention to what's happening, and stuff's getting insane. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't expect arrests to be made. I expect some people to maybe drop dead, and I expect basically Congress to grandstand and try to call Trump as a witness or some crap like that, because we want to know how were you? They're going to completely sidestep the point. They might throw Bill Clinton under the bus. That might be interesting to see that, but they're so this is so connected. Because what this is showing, this is exposing essentially the really deep, dark underbelly of basically the people who run the DNC, the Clintons, that entire money network. It's rotten to the core. And that doesn't bode well for the Democrats' reputation, which doesn't bode well for them in the election, which doesn't bode well for their fundraising. And they want you to think that, Donald Trump is the be-all, end-all Satan. And let me tell you that Republicans aren't competent enough to launder money as well as the Clinton Foundation and the DNC have been doing. They're not competent enough to commit the level of crime these people have committed. And we know that. And I say this as a lifelong Republican. They couldn't cover something up if they tried. They're a mess. But because this is connected to the DNC stuff, I don't expect it to go anywhere. I expect the media not to hold them accountable, and I expect basically too much evidence to be destroyed for the Justice Department to really actually be able to get some teeth into some things. And I expect some people to be, Clinton suicided. Some more people. There's more people getting killed, whether it's a judge leading an investigation or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping we get our nice action movie, all the bad guys go to jail, ending to all this. But I really doubt it, because they're just too well connected. It's been politicized already. Basically, it's the argument is going to be whether Donald Trump's connected or not. That's where the fight's going to be. Because he's not connected. Obviously, he's not. And that's the nice distraction. Because it's like, if it's the worst thing ever, they got to connect him to it because he's the worst thing ever. So, just expect frustrating levels of TDS and expect, every conceivable excuse. I mean, why did the Justice Department go after Hillary Clinton's server as hard as they could have? Why did the FBI just drop the ball on that and not recover, not move fast enough to recover the emails or arrest her for that? Well, because the Clinton Foundation ran through the same server. I mean, it's bad. Oh, I wonder if Anthony Weiner was ever on the island. Like, I wonder how wild how blatant it is. They're never going to extradite Prince Andrew. They're not. The left, the world's cabal, they say, the global citizens, like the Clintons and the royal family, they all play for the same team. And it ain't the team of their country. The team of themselves. So, all right. That's 20 minutes of me on record saying, shit's getting real.